Five, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Real Estate Reserve Podcast. What's up, Ian? What's up? Looking forward to
a new entrance. Like, I'm trying to figure out what that. I thought it was just for the main event last time.
Yeah, we switch it up. We switch it up when we need to. Make sure we keep it fun. Make sure we keep all our viewers entertained as much as possible. You know, considering we're not all that techie to begin with. If you're just tuning in for the first time to the Real Estate Reserve Podcast, welcome. We're going to have a lot of fun. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. This show is all about real estate investing, marketing, business, personal finance, and just whatever else Ian and I kind of have planned, kind of ad lib. So today, super fun show, probably one of my favorite topics related to books. You know, neither one of us are kind of in a formal book club, but this can kind of be our book club. Both Ian and I have read, are constantly reading books, typically on real estate investing, business, marketing, personal development, finance, things like that. And I know the books Ian have read. He knows the books that I've read, but we figured it's best if we bring some other successful investors out here to share what favorite books they might have for 2021. It's a great way to see what other people are reading and potentially kind of jump on that bandwagon and pick it up themselves. I'm going to go out here and guess that there's probably going to be a good amount of overlap. You know, I think a lot of us in the same circles tend to read the same books, but we're going to see. Everyone's going to have a chance here in a second. We're going to stagger everybody kind of in here one by one, and they'll be able to share their book with us, their favorite book of 2021.
Yeah, man. No, I'm definitely excited. Good thing for audiobooks, since I can't see out of my eye, I don't have to read all the books. I get to listen to books, and that's what I do on my commute to and from work. Everyone makes fun of me about my hour ride down and my hour ride back, but that's my chance to sit down. And some days I get on the phone and I call and I brainstorm with a lot of people. Other days, like this morning, I'm finishing up Relentless, and I've been enjoying the book, and it's like my way of meditating. I don't do a formal meditation, but getting in the car, listening to a book, getting in the right mindset, sometimes to decompress. It's a great way to do it too. I agree. We'll probably hear some overlap. I'm excited. If anybody wants to join the show and they feel compelled after watching other people present on what their books are, just shoot us a DM, put a comment in the chat. If we have your phone number, we'll text you the link. If not, we'll DM you the link to jump on and discuss. I already see someone commenting, Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss is a great book. So I'd be interested to hear what everybody read through 2021. Instead of me and you boring everybody with what our favorite books, we'll save that for the end. I think we should bring Foster in first, only because I know he's at work. He claims that DC goes to fires, but let's get him in real quick because he is at work protecting and serving the community. So I want to make sure that he has a chance to do that and let him go.
Aaron, what's going on, man? What was your favorite book from 2021? You're on mute, though. You got to unmute real quick.
Unmute.
There you go.
All right. What's up, scumbags? How are you guys?
Doing good.
So there's a couple books I like this year. One was The Tax-Free Millionaire, Zero Tax. I like that because I think a lot of people lose more in taxes than they realize. The other one was 30 Passive Income Ideas. I like that just to get the creative juices flowing. It just gives you a bunch of ideas to start masterminding and spitballing and getting ideas moving forward. And the last one was Commercial Real Estate. That one it's called A Journey Towards Financial Freedom. And the reason I like that one is just because I want to get more into commercial this coming year.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Appreciate it. You can go back to metaverse. Anything related to meta and to crypto and digital land. That's going to be all the books you're going to be reading this upcoming year, huh?
I'm gonna start swinging at it. I almost bought a piece of land yesterday.
Oh God, just like that. A week ago you said you never do it.
I know, I never thought I'd never do it. I'm just trying to it's hard to invest in something that's not a tangible asset.
Yeah, I understand. All right, man. We appreciate it.
All right, guys. Enjoy your day.
You're controlling the ins and the outs here. So I think we're going to bring in from one conspiracy theorist to my next favorite, not only a successful business owner, but me and him have some great conversation on the way of the world and where it's going today. So I'll be interested to hear his favorite book of 2021. Let's bring in Steve Cavanaugh.
Hold on. Whoa.
Steve, what's up, man?
There we go. Let's go. Did I just get called a conspiracy theorist?
No, just a realist. I should have said realist, but we're broadcasting on the metaverse over here, so I got to kind of hit the key target words so we don't get thrown off. So,
So the book that I read last year that had a pretty big impact on me is actually not a 2021 book. It's a 2012 book, but it's Joe Dispenza's Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. You guys read this book?
Yes, it's a very good book.
So it basically what this book is about is it is at the intersection of quantum physics and psychology. And it really is, it kind of answers the question, can I use my mind to create my reality? And it's a study on epigenetics. Epigenetics is the study of how your behaviors and environment can cause changes that will affect the way that your genes work. In other words, you can think your genetics, you can think your own genetics to create the life that you want, to become the person that you want. So that's my vote here. Very profound book, super heady. Runner up is Corona, False Alarm, Facts and Figures. This was written by two German epidemiologists, and this is the account of what happened in Germany throughout this whole pandemic thing. And this is tons of facts in here. Very well researched, very well documented. Anyone who says, what's your source? The sources are in the back of the book. Go look them all up. The crazy thing is that what happened in Germany is the same exact thing that happened here. They had their own Dr. Fauci. They had their own corrupt government and everything else. So that's a runner up. There you go, Ian.
I know. I appreciate it. I appreciate you being vocal. And we do have some great conversations, and none of this other stuff, none of this real estate investing, none of these other things can happen if you're not protecting our freedoms. And it is potentially that I guess we'll stay out of it here for a second, but
what you just said is it. It's all about freedoms, and folks right now don't seem to care, but if we don't protect them, they're gone forever.
Yeah, and I'll just say one other thing. You're talking about Joe Dispenza. Once you're done that book, go to Happy Pocket Full of Money. It's the same thing about quantum physics and dreaming your existence and manifesting all those good things. And Dispenza does great stuff. He does a lot of good stuff on healing, but something a little more money oriented. If you're interested, this is a great book here. So glad you brought him up. And you are from the Ascend Mastermind, so I think it's only fair that we let you go and bring in your partner on the other half of the Ascend Mastermind.
All right, ascendyoursuccess.com. Thank you, guys.
See ya.
Thanks, Steve.
Pardo, add to stream. There he is. Pardo.
Yeah, buddy. What's going
Alex,
on,
what's
gentlemen?
up, buddy?
Go, Pardo. Where you been, brother?
Come on, man. I'm making moves, man. Trying to keep up with you guys, but I appreciate you allowing me on the podcast. First off, phenomenal idea. I love this. I might have to steal this and give you guys the credit. So jumping right into it, my favorite book, I bet you, is one that nobody will have. It's 1, 2, 3 with the Notorious B.I.G. I'm
Really?
kidding. I'm
I was
totally
excited. You perked my interest. I was ready.
I'm totally kidding. Not my favorite book. The book I chose that I read in 2021 is Atomic Habits by James Clear. I'm reminded, kind of the theme I took into 2022, guys, is the Bruce Lee quote, that he says, I fear a man that has practiced one kick 10,000 times, not necessarily a man that has practiced 10,000 kicks. So in 2022, rather than trying to read a new book a week or a new book a month, I'm picking the top 5 to 10 books and rereading those. Atomic Habits is definitely one of those books that had a huge impact on 2021. And I'll kind of leave you with one. I want to leave the audience with one practical thing. This book is littered with my pen and highlights, but he talks a lot about habit stacking. Habit stacking is nothing more. Here's the formula. After current habit, I will, and then insert the new habit. So as an example, after I exercise, I'll take out my workout shoes. I'll immediately change into my, after I take off my work shoes, I will put on my workout shoes. After I pour a cup of coffee in the morning, I will meditate. So it's basically just taking one current habit and stacking it with something positive that you want to do.
Yeah.
Yep. I got a very similar takeaway to that. I read that book this year. That was one of my top 5 this year, or 2021. It was great. And I know exactly that part that you just stated, because that hit home with me and resonated
Amazing book. And then the last thing is, like if you want to establish like a night routine, one example he gives is, rather than like just, pulling off the sheets and getting ready for bed, let's say you want to start reading before going to sleep, putting a book on your pillow, so there's a ton of examples and exercises that he shares. So phenomenal book, had a big impact on my life.
Yeah, and I know you and Steve are big on like vision stacking, habit stacking. Like that's actually funny that you brought that up. I was like, man, this kind of sounds like the vision stacking, but it makes sense, if you can do that. So definitely appreciate you, man. I hope you're habit stacking on your new house. Congratulations. Haven't talked to you in a minute. Hope you're having a good new year, and we're gonna let you go and bring in one of your most successful students, John Farling, brother. There you are. Farling, where'd you go?
Fellas?
There you go. What's up,
hear me?
John, how are you? Yes, we can hear you fine. What was your favorite book from 2021?
Man, actually, I don't have it anymore because I gave it to one of these guys on this podcast. But the Big Leap was huge for me. Yeah, yep.
I just pulled it out. I knew you were going to say that.
Yep. The upper limit problem is a real thing. Basically, it's when your life is going right, we immediately think that something bad has to happen to pull us down. There were pages in that book where I literally read one page at a time. It was a great book.
Yeah, when he talked about the upper limit problem, and it's funny, me and John, we'll talk quite a bit. And we were discussing just some things going on in family life. He was buying a new house and some stuff was going on inside his family. And he's like, dude, you got to read this book. It just sums it up. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Dude, it's probably one of the only books that I've actually, in a long time, have actually picked up and read and didn't put it down because it's always funny. Like whenever something's going well, next thing you know, there's a problem and trying to keep you in check. And I thought that was really cool and interesting to listen to.
Absolutely.
So
cool, man. All right, we appreciate it. Thanks again,
guys.
All right, Chris Haddon, you're up. Hey, Chris,
Whoa.
What's up? There you go. Wait, hold on a second.
That came on quick. I had to stop what I was doing. Okay. Best books from 21. So this year was a little bit different than most because we dedicated the entire first quarter to reading Atlas Shrugged. And that's not my book, like number one book. It was fantastic. It's just not the one I'm going to choose for this conversation, but it kind of threw a little monkey wrench in the normal year of reading, right? That was a big project, well worth it. Anyway, the one I'm picking for this, I had a number of books that I really, really enjoyed in 21. I'm going to go with Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. That book was a wake-up call, like what he went through as a child, qualifying for the Navy SEALs and all of his extreme endurance. It just makes you look at yourself and be like, God damn, I'm such a chicken, and just kind of like shakes you awake.
Yeah, that guy, talk about not quitting, man. And whether you take it from the standpoint of like, I need to do more every day, or I need to grow balls and go do something, that man can speak to any level and it resonates with everybody, man. Yeah, I think you had read it and suggested it to us, and I read it and it was so good, man. So good.
Mean, yeah, that principle of his that whenever you think you're at your limit and whatever, like just using the example of physical stuff, you're probably around 40% of what you can actually do. It just runs through the back of my mind. And I've seen that before in other stuff in the past, and wrestling and jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. But just apply that to whatever, right? Apply that to like your business life, your personal life. And like, I can do so much more.
Did you audiobook that one?
No, I read it.
Yeah, so I audiobooked that one, and he actually goes off topic a little bit and takes pauses with the writer and discusses some of these things at length. And that was like a whole nother level of stuff, and it was so good. So definitely.
Yeah, I haven't read that yet, but I remember that quote from Jesse Itzler's book when he was living with him, living with a SEAL, about pushing yourself. And when you think you are ready to quit and you can't do it anymore, you're only at like, I didn't know it was 40%. I thought it was even like less than that they stated, but that's just ridiculous. It's just to show that the human body can just get pushed so much quicker or so much further.
Great thing to keep in mind. Yeah.
Cool. All right, Chris.
All right, fellas. Thanks for having me on.
See you, brother.
Thank you.
Later.
All right, let's bring in Ryan Walsh. Ryan.
Yeah,
with the green screen, baby. What was your favorite book from 2021?
So I got two. I read them every year. One is Asking It Is Given. Probably not as common. It's honestly, I mean, the theme of everyone's books is like mental training, right? And this is kind of a law of attraction book. It doesn't really get into the Joe Dispenza really gets into like the engine and like how like what's happening on the physical side of things. Asking Given is a little bit more like esoterical, I guess, but I think it really just gives you techniques that work. You know, I say like it doesn't matter if you believe everything that's in the book, just do the shit that's in there and watch it come to fruition. So I really like that book. I read it every year. And the other one that's a little bit more practical on the business side of things is Think and Grow Rich. It's a watered down version of Napoleon Hill's Law of Success in 16 Lessons. So if you got time, read the Law of Success in 16 Lessons. It's like a freaking like 500-page manual of like what habits you should create. But the watered down kind of Cliff Note version is Think and Grow Rich. So I definitely read those books every year because every year you change as a person. You should reread the books. You don't have to just read them once, right? Read them again.
Yeah. You know, I'm glad you mentioned that, and I'm glad Alex mentioned that as well, because most people, I watched the movie once, I read a book once, and you're done with it. But it's so true. And I'm going to share some of the books at the end that I like this year, and I'm definitely rereading them again. You know, there's a few books that I'll typically read once per year, but it goes a long way. You know, you're in different places in your life, different places in your business, different places everywhere. So, you know, you get
you're literally a different person than you were, right? So your mind's going to just pick up on different things than it perceive things differently, even though it's the same sentence you read a year ago or 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's right.
Everything's interpreted differently now. So.
That's right. All right, man.
Yeah, thanks, guys. No, I appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you. And whoever's, you know, we obviously have a few more people that are going to share their favorite books, but if you're tuning in, if you're listening to this watching this on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, wherever, I look in the comment section because we posted the link. And if you want to hop on and share your favorite book with everybody, don't be shy. Feel free to do it. This is the time to do it. All right, Glenn, you're up.
What's up?
Oh, what's up, brother?
I'm just trying not to get sick from whatever Ian has on his face, so I think maybe this mask will work. What do you think?
That's what you're going with. All right, fair enough.
I'm messing with you. I don't know what happened to your eye. Maybe you shot yourself or something in there. But boys, I want to thank you guys for doing this because you know I do a lot of book on tapes, and most all of them are based on your guys' recommendations. Which is why my list is probably dated, and everyone watching this and participating has already read that, you know, years ago. But I do want to sort of set the table by saying that no matter what book one reads or consumes, I think the important part about this is allowing other thoughts from other people, other successful people, and even failures from other people we can learn from. We can grow. You know, there's a lot of people in this world that like you can't say shit to, right? Because they don't want to hear it, or they don't understand that they can evolve or that they can better themselves, whether it's through smarts or heart or love, whatever it is. And so thank you guys for I don't know, being the people that you are in my life as a friend, but also like understanding that we can train ourselves and we can change ourselves and we can evolve. So even though Ian doesn't shower for weeks at a time and shave, like you're a very evolved individual, and I love you for that. So so thank you guys. And that sort of cascades into my pick, which is Am I Being Too Subtle by Sam Zell. Old book, older book, but a powerful book in many ways. Yes, his first deals at University of Michigan were about timing in the market and buying blocks when they hadn't turned over yet, and he, you know, it was a timing thing. He's an older gentleman, but the guy could see around corners because he took everything very logically, and he was able to predict what would happen. And he wasn't a deal junkie, but I say he's a deal junkie in a good way in that if the deal made sense, he would do it, and he didn't overthink it. But at the end of the day, who Sam Zell was a guy who did good business. If it was a good deal for him, for his partners, for the people he's either buying or selling from, he would do it. Pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered. He didn't obviously say that in his book, but the takeaway for me is do good business for yourself, but do good business for the others, and you guys will all grow together. The idea that this deal only works if that other guy gets crushed and I hit a grand slam, that's fuck all. No one wants to do that. That's not how it goes. And so that was my takeaway. Am I being too subtle? I'm an aggressive guy. I'm a talker. Sam Zell's sort of that way too. I like that book. It meant, and I read a bunch of other books this year. Listened to them, all via you guys mostly. But that was the one that stood out. Specifically, this is a real estate podcast at its core, and so I thought that was important to bring up.
Yeah, if I had read that in 2021, I would have said that one as well. I read that in 2020, so it didn't qualify. But agreed, it was great.
Yeah, it was definitely a good book. It's crazy. There's a prime example of everything we were talking about, goal setting and everything else, of like that guy was grinding, and then you go look back at what he did over a career, and like we're in this little glimpse of our time, but yet this guy, we're looking at years and years and years of what he has done, and it's super powerful stuff.
Yeah, and just getting from real estate into the media conglomerate and back, he's just a very interesting character, and his hand was in so much other business that we don't realize besides real estate. And obviously, they own the Cubs and things of that nature. The Tribune Company, just a very fascinating guy. Obviously, with my background in media, I was interested in it, and a small background in real estate. Great book, and thank you guys for the suggestion, and thanks for doing this.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, man.
All right, next up, we got Magner. Shaun, what's up? How are you? What was your favorite book from 2021?
Let me back up. Am I that big on camera? Guys, Happy New Year. Thanks for doing it.
Here, we'll change it up for you. Hold on.
There you go. Thanks.
There we
go.
Now you're important.
All right, cool. Hey, thanks again. I'll echo what a few guys have already said, Glenn, too. Thanks for doing this. Great idea. I'm always looking for good book ideas. I had a baby last year, so I didn't get to read quite as many books as I have in years past. I was gifted my book choice by one of my closest mentors. And, it's not common that I read a book that creates a paradigm shift. I think it's happened for me a few times. You think Rich Dad, Poor Dad when I was young, right? That created just a paradigm shift on how I view something. And the book, The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel, this thing changed how I view a few things, specifically luck, right? I've always kind of adopted the notion that you create your own luck. Opportunity meeting preparation equals luck, right? We know the formula. But I'm going to read you guys something real brief, just a segment on Bill Gates on luck. This is fascinating stuff. And I think you guys read this book this year, right? Jason and yeah, you guys did. So you know where I'm going with this. A little quick math. This is fascinating. In 1968, there were roughly 303 million high school age students in the world, according to the UN. About 18 million of them lived in the United States. About 270,000 of them lived in Washington State. A little over 100,000 of them lived in the Seattle area. And only about 300 of them attended Lakeside High School. Start with 303 million, end with 300. 1 in a million high school age students attended the high school that had the combination of cash and foresight to buy a computer. Bill Gates happened to be one of them. Bill Gates is not shy about when he says, if there had been no Lakeside, there would be no Microsoft. I still think you create your own luck. All right, I do. But that did create a paradigm shift for me. And there's also another segment in here on moving the goalpost. And it kind of relates to having enough or not having enough. And man, it just created a bit of a paradigm shift. Also, there was a section in here on wealth just being what you don't see versus the shiny stuff. And I thought that kind of resonated. So again, I didn't get to read as many books this year as I have in years past, but this one really hit home for a few things, a couple things that provided a paradigm shift for me.
Yep.
Yeah, we read that one earlier this year, and it's funny, especially with crypto and everything going on right now, people trying to time markets and selling and buying, and this is the next biggest thing. And every time me and Jason get talking about it, it's like, yep, psychology of money. People sell when it's going down and buy when it's going up, just because, rather than just waiting. Again, another prime example of a book talking about if you can stand the test of time and you're patient, it will all work out. So I know Jason refers to this book a lot. So
great book.
It's my number one as well.
Awesome.
All right, thanks, Shaun. Appreciate it, buddy.
Hopefully you get to read some more books. I'm on the kids book thing too. I got Madeline memorized, and I got the Carrot book memorized. So I feel you.
Don't ever pet a dragon. That's one that's pretty common in our house. And Good Night Moon. Got that book. I've read that about 100 times this year.
Yeah, you got it memorized. I feel you. Thanks, brother. Well, we're gonna bring in because I don't know how to do this. We're gonna bring in Thomas O'Brien, a newer real estate investor. What's up, brother?
Hey, what's going on, bro?
Yeah, I'm glad to see you're out here. You're grinding it out and doing your thing. I know you've recently got involved in real estate investing. So I'd be interested to hear what your book from 2021 or you're currently reading that's helped you change your mindset. Besides this wonderful book right here, Subsidized. I know everybody has a great copy of this. So.
I do. I read that. That is a great book.
So what was your favorite book of 2021?
I'm gonna go with Rocket Fuel. I don't know how many other people mentioned that, but I read it twice, and I could be honest with you, the first few times I read it didn't resonate. And then when I joined the Sub 2 mentorship, I found myself, because I kicked off in a high gear. Like, I'm like, all right, I got 2 VAs, I got all the doohickeys and gadgets, and we're setting up a cold calling business here. And I started to realize that I was getting extremely flustered, like I was frustrated. You know, I'd be killing like a couple hours at a time, like doing stupid crap, like trying to figure out how to insert the data properly and manage the VAs. And I jumped on a call with a guy in the Sub 2 mentorship, and he kind of rung my bell a little bit. So after talking to him for about 30 minutes, like, he was just asking me questions like, well, like, who are you? Like, what do you want?
Yeah. So it took a real life example, or you're doing something for then that book to resonate. You know, and that's the problem. Some people read books over and over and over again. I know we do it all the time, is we read books, but they don't resonate exactly what Ryan was talking about. And you should hook up with him because they are in Philadelphia too. But either way, you know, it's a thing. You can read a book over and over again, but if you're not in that right place at that right time for that book to resonate with you, I totally get that. Who wrote Rocket Fuel? I don't think I've ever read that one.
Is it Gino Wickman, I think?
Oh, okay, yeah. I got the other book.
Traction, right?
Yeah, I got that one back there. I read that one as well. So, yeah, man, definitely good. And, you know, it's something you can always refer back to and, you know, help ground you and keep you moving. So, definitely appreciate that. You know, look forward to see where you go over this next year. I think we're gonna have to have you back on here shortly for a long form interview. Jason, I'm doing this right here live, booking guests, because that's what we do. Definitely have you on.
I'm in. I'm all in, brother.
It sounds good. We appreciate it, man. I'll definitely talk to you here shortly, and let's bring Weidman on.
Josh, what's up, buddy?
What's up? How you guys doing today?
Not too bad. What was your favorite book from 2021?
So I'm going to give you 2 and a asterisk, right? So I love Atlas Shrugged. I completely forgot about that was part of the reading project, earlier this year. But my biggest takeaway for this year is going to be Atomic Habits by James Clear. Never read that before. It's been on my list for a long time, and I think I read it in September or August. And I mean, I think it's a great book. It's fantastic. It points out a lot of, I think as you get older, you get a little bit more introspective on like what about yourself. And I think with Atomic Habits, it pointed out some things that I hadn't noticed about myself that have been really helpful this year and kind of making some changes. And anyway, there's that. On the flip side, you talk about reading with your kids. So my oldest is 12. Since he was about 5 or 6, we started reading books together, and love sci-fi. I love sci-fi fiction. It's great. There's the guy who wrote the Maze Runner. I'm looking up his name right now and I don't see it. James Dashner. Phenomenal sci-fi writer. Like really, really good stuff if you're looking for something to, click off and just kind of relax. But I mean, you guys were talking about with was it Ryan? Yeah, he reads certain books every year. I mean, I got 2 or 3 books that I read every year, and the biggest for me is going to be the I Never Split the Difference. I love that book. I mean, it's phenomenal, and like implementing some of that stuff, it's amazing how the structure of the negotiation set up in that book. It's just about finding a win-win scenario, and like it translates to so many different areas of life, beyond just business. But I love that book. It's one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, no, good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, I mean, a lot of very similar types of books that we've all listened to.
Yeah,
well,
we've all read.
It was also good to hear that someone else is actually out there listening or reading something other than just business, because I think a lot of us don't exercise our brain outside of all business books, and
yeah, right.
Sometimes it just becomes a grind, and you're like, oh, I gotta get through this book. And I think that's what made Atlas Shrugged even more fun. Besides the underlying topic, is that it wasn't real life, and you got to expand, and you're like, oh my god, what's Dagny gonna do next? And like, jazzed up about it. So.
The character development in that book is insane. I mean, like, the storyline could almost be anything with those characters. Like they're just doing stuff all the time.
Yeah, man, definitely. So appreciate you. Glad to see you. Haven't seen you this year yet.
I know, right? I got a quick question for you guys while we're on here. What's your number one book recommendation from 2021? I missed the first like 2 minutes of the show. And
we haven't shared ours yet. So
I got to stay to the end.
But hey, man, thanks for the segue. We appreciate it. We're about to get into what our favorite books of 2021 are.
Yeah, absolutely. Josh, appreciate it. Let's just bring up a few comments real quick. So, Never Split the Difference, another one. I also read Never Split. Was that this year or last year? I read that. But anyways, I've read that. That was great. Relentless. Another one for Relentless. I think we all read that. Atomic Habits. That was probably my number 2 this year, was Atomic Habits. Loved it. So a lot of people have similar stuff. And I will say, though, that in 2022, I'm obviously already on my way and finished a book, already one book. But part of my 2022 was going to reread 3 books from the past. Number 1, The Richest Man in Babylon, which was one of my favorites. It's a short book. You can literally listen to it or read it in a day. Richest Man in Babylon. You'll get so much out of it in different parts of your life. I'm gonna do Atomic Habits again. I read that for the first time this year, and it was great. So that one was good. One thing, and I'm not gonna add this to my favorite list, but a lot of people here listening, if you do. And you've probably never heard of this book, but if you're at the point that you're a real estate investor and you've kind of graduated from a one-man or one-woman operation and you start hiring staff and creating sales teams and things like that, recommend 5 Languages of Appreciation in the Workplace. That was a book that one of my business mentors, my business coaches, told me about years ago. And I'll just say that you're going to be very, very surprised after you read that. And you're going to be able to help nail different personality types for different employees inside your operation, and how you can impact them and affect them by the way that you communicate with them. So my favorite book from 2021, no surprise, was Psychology of Money. I loved it. I actually don't even know if that was a book that came out this year or is an older book, but I absolutely loved it, and I felt it to be very, very relevant to a lot of things that I do inside my business, my life, personal finances. It sums up a lot of things related to me and with investing, putting capital into different investment types. It certainly sums up my hesitancy to buy crypto or more crypto in general. So it summed up a lot of things on it. If you've ever read that book, my favorite part of that book is related to the story about buying lottery tickets. That's all I'm gonna tell you. If you've read the book, you'll know that particular rationale. So that's it. Psychology of Money, definitely my number 1 for 2021.
Yeah, actually, before I share my favorite book from 2021, I want to add in a buddy of mine, Stratton, and it looks like he's with Kalani and Ken. They're out doing a site tour at a storage facility. What's up, guys? How you doing?
What's up? Hey, Ian.
Hey,
what's up?
You guys just wanted, and I'm looking forward to going out to Stratton's Mastermind event. He invited me out to come and speak, so I'm super excited not only to get out to Salt Lake, but go to the event as well. But Stratton, Kalani, or Ken, you guys want to share your favorite book from 2021? We put him on the spot. I was literally texting Stratton while we were live. I said, "Hey, man, I need your favorite book from 2021."
Need a little more coffee first.
What was that?
I'll go first. I'll let them talk.
I got it.
$100 million offer by Alex Hormozzi.
Yep.
I think the best book of 2021 and the best marketing book I've ever read in my life.
Yeah,
nice.
He's a ClickFunnels guy. We've seen him in ClickFunnels, so very good. They have done very, very well over the past several years.
He just sold a company for $46 million.
Yep.
I think last year he sold another one for like 30. But the way of like as real estate guys, right? We don't think much about marketing, and then as we start getting into like raising money, owning other businesses, everything else, and the marketing side really comes into play, right? We cold call and do direct mail, but is that really marketing? Not really. And so coming up with amazing offers, being able to put all that together, I think was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think just, when you talk about marketing and putting content out in general, you're one of my motives behind my 2021 goals. So I appreciate that. So yeah, man, we'll,
What else? You got a book,
Ben or
Lonnie?
Connie got a book they want to share?
You're a Badass at Making Money by Jen Cisnero.
You're a Badass at Making money. That's a
Yeah.
good one. What's the overall premise on that one?
That one really shifted my money mindset in that, especially coming from the corporate realm, whenever you speak about wanting more, it's usually, you also have some hidden beliefs, some limiting beliefs about how like asking for more money, deserving more money is actually a negative, and being able to look at money kind of as a science and that you deserve it, and being able to believe in manifestation, even though everything around you has taught you that it doesn't really work from our backgrounds.
Awesome. We appreciate that. Yeah, it's definitely a good mindset shift for a lot of people, even going from the corporate world into real estate investing and figuring out what your true net worth really is.
Exactly.
So definitely appreciate that. And what about you, Ken? I know you had to read at least one book.
I listened to a lot of books. I read a few. For 2021, my favorite was Joe Dispenza, Evolve Your Brain.
Yeah.
I'm constantly reading about and teaching people about, manifesting things and all that. And this is really the science behind it, why it all works. And he makes it not so sciencey, where you can actually get through it. So I really enjoyed that book.
Nice.
Yeah, man. Definitely a good book. Cavanaugh mentioned the same one, and it is very powerful tool. And I don't think a lot of people realize how powerful it is. But we'll let you guys go. I know you're doing a site tour. Hopefully it's going well. Catch up with you guys here in a little bit, and be safe out there.
Thanks, guys.
See you.
Ian, so what was your favorite book for 2021?
I'm glad Chris reminded me. I'm just going to kind of go through a few books that we did read over the year, but my number one, and I was kind of the motive behind this challenge, and I really, really liked it. I keep going back to it, but Atlas Shrugged by far was the best book of 2021. Thoroughly enjoyed it. It was very relevant, even though, we kind of read it from the end of 2020 into 2021, but it's so relevant, even for a book that was written in the 50s or 60s, and how relevant the same topics, the same things are going on to what they are today. It wasn't just some badass business book. It was like someone talking about real life topics and applying them in different realms. And, I was never a big English guy in school, just in general, like reading books, I would never really do, but audiobooks have helped me tremendously to consume more content. And that book, I literally couldn't put it down. Me and Jason and Chris and Josh and everybody were texting. I'm like, yo, dude, can you believe what Dagny's going to do next? Like, don't ruin it. Like, it was a soap opera, but there was also lessons to take from it. Some other books that we did do this year that I thoroughly enjoyed was Patrick David Bett's book. Jay, help me out. Your next 5 moves.
Yep.
And that one was good, especially when he talked about the 80-20. We're all top performers as real estate investors, and we all do really well in our industry, and we're in that top 5 to 10%. And then when you decide to go into a different asset class or a different part of your business or work on it, you might go from that top 5% down to the lower 80%, and it makes you feel really uncomfortable. And then you're trying to strive to get back up to that 5%, and you're fighting and trying to get there. Put that in great frame of reference. And then another really good one was Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. The audiobook, I fully suggest getting the audiobook. He's obviously an actor, but it was so good. Him just talking about his career, what it took for him to get to where he was, the childhood that he had, coming from a blue collar family and then wanting to go do acting and like this whole struggle that he had going on. But man, it was just such a relevant book. And he did a really good job of telling his story. And I would say those 3 books were really, really good for me. And I really enjoyed them.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot of overlap. So I'm looking at my list real quick. I read 23 books last year, and Atlas, was included, and that's like 5 books in one. But my top 5 in order of what I liked was The Psychology of Money, Atomic Habits, Your Next 5 Moves, and then Bitcoin Billionaires and Green Lights. Bitcoin Billionaires is an older book, so it's a little bit outdated compared to where crypto and Bitcoin is today. But the story of it, I really enjoyed. Yeah, so that's that.
Well, I was going to say before we go, I do have to say, really honestly, if you think it's hard to consume books right now, you're insane. I think with the utilization of audiobooks, the amount of content you consume, I mean, at a certain point, I find that audiobooks are better because you can speed it up. When I was reading Atlas Shrugged, I had to bump it up to 1.5x. I didn't realize how much more I could consume. Then I read Fastlane Millionaire. I'm like, dude, 1x is too slow. These readers are too slow. Boom, that one's at 2x. Well, now we're consuming. Jason just said he did 28 books, including Atlas Shrugged, 24 plus the extra 5 on Atlas Shrugged. You're talking 28 books. We were able to do that in a year. Granted, I didn't read all of them, but for me to even think about reading one book in a whole year in high school, not only the need, but the fact that audiobooks, you can speed and get through it, consume the content at your level. When someone taught me about how to speed up the player on YouTube, man, I can consume a lot of YouTube content now too, because 2x, let's go.
So I'm solely consuming books through audiobooks. I do everything through Audible. For the most part, I pay the $12.99 a month or whatever and get 1 credit, and then I'm typically like add another 3 credits, add another three credits. I do everything between 1.3 and 1.5 speed, depending on the author and how fast they talk. Over time, I try to build that up to consume it quicker and quicker, but it's just about 1.3 to 1.5. All of my audiobooks are only listened to because I don't have a very long commute anymore like before. So all my audiobooks are consumed with walking. Typically first thing in the morning, wake up, walk around the neighborhood. It's about 2.5 mile walk, takes about 45 minutes. So that's done, 360 days, I would say, a year. There's a few. So that's what it worked for, 40 minutes or so a day at 1.3, 1.5 speed will get you about 25, 26 books a year, along with podcasts. I also listen to a good amount of podcasts as well.
Yeah, I wanted to bring Ryan back in. He was hanging out in the back room, and he was literally asking us, reading versus audio, and he brings up a valid point that he wanted to mention. So, Ryan, you want to mention, what the difference between audio and physical books and how they impact your brain?
Yeah. I mean, so just anyone who's listening, I mean, audio is awesome. I do it myself. It's 90% of how I consume my books, but I do make sure I try to get some physical reading in as well. I can't cite the sources off the top of my head because I've read this years ago at this point, but basically, just to summarize it, reading a physical book impacts the way it hits your memory and just how your brain associates to it differently than an audiobook. So you could literally be reading the same book and then audiobooking at the same time, and it's going to hit you different ways. So just something to keep in mind if you're really trying to get habits going, because I mean, it's kind of, everyone's been talking about these books that are just mental training, right? Something that can help you is to get the physical copy of it. It'll help you ingrain that habit quicker. So just kind of a tip that keep in mind. Yeah, audiobooks are awesome. Definitely recommend them, but don't ignore the physical as well if you're trying to maybe get a new habit going.
I know we know actually a lot of people that read and listen at the same time. They sync it up and they figure out the speed and they do that. I mean, personally, yes, this is certainly a limited belief of mine, but I wouldn't consume as much physically doing it as audiobook wise.
Well, now you're going to set me off. I know we've been on for a hot minute, but then you go down the rabbit hole of, do you consume better and actually physically understand it better versus just trudging through books?
Exactly.
I'm not doubting or fighting it.
It's not about volume, right? It's not about how much you consume in a year, right? Like you could read 100 books, but are you really better off than the person who read one book and had a good focus on that book, right? And let it really sink into them. So, I think it's a balance, and whatever's best for you. Everybody's going to be different. But just kind of a tip that I found has worked for me is reading it as well as audio.
What I've learned, and again, these are limited beliefs. There's potentially a limited belief, and it could change. I'm not stating that these are all, in stone, but I'll catch myself if I get to a boring part of a book, dozing off, on a physical book. But literally, when I walk and read and listen, I'm completely in that like mindset.
Yep.
And I black out until I get home. 40 minutes later, literally black out. I don't even know where I am, and because I'm living it, I'm feeling it. Half of it, I'm closing my eyes. So like, but again,
because you don't want to feel the pain of working out. You're concentrating on the book, right? Like that's taking your mind away. But then, like for me,
I don't know if that's
sometimes when I'm
working out,
driving,
walking, but yeah.
Yeah, but no, seriously though, it's cold out right now, right? Like you got to get your mind off the cold, or it's hot, or whatever. Whereas when I'm driving and then I see a text and I'm listening to a book, and I'm not texting and driving because I know my wife's probably listening right now, but you know what I mean? Something happens on the road. Well, now your concentration's broken. Are you really consuming that content well? And I agree. Stratton, who we just had on, he's a big proponent on not only reading and listening, he also highlights while he's going through it as well, which I find to be interesting, and I'm sure he retains a lot more information than I would out of the same book. So
yeah, I mean, if you want to go even further, physically write down what you just wrote. Like it's all about just it's time, right? You spent 40 minutes listening to an audiobook, and it was a concentrated 40 minutes of focus, right? Yeah, you were walking, but you're able to focus. So somebody who's just kind of has it in the back. I love those people who have it in the background. I'm like, you might as well not even have it on, right? It's like going to the gym and like putting the treadmill on, but not being on the treadmill, right? I'm not saying don't do it, because you can still, like, I do it all the time. Actually, I do it all the time where I put it on the background. I do have it on the background because you never know what your brain picks up. But there's definitely a difference between a workout of when you're on the equipment versus just kind of at the gym, right? And it's the same for your mind, and that's the same for reading a book. There's different levels of focus, different techniques. Physically writing is definitely a way to associate the physical parts of your brain to really stick it in there, and then reading it. It's just try it sometime. I always say just try it. Try reading. Like you were talking about, Jay, before, where you're saying you've had people listen to the audio at the same time as they're reading it. Just do it. It's a kind of cool, a neat experience to be like, wow, it's weird that my brain's perceiving this differently via audio versus visual.
Yep, I can see that.
Well, we appreciate that insight, and hopefully someone takes it for what it's worth, and interested to hear how people change their habits and go from there. So appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Go from there.
Thanks, Ryan. Cool. Ian.
All right. Glenn's telling me that he's calling us out on how he learns over here. So I'm just checking my phone, make sure we didn't have any other guests. But man, that was a good list of books. There was a few books in there that I have not read that were really interesting to me that I might add to my list for this year, because that's always a challenge. What's the new book, and you can only read so many. And I love the idea that you're going back and reading 2 or 3 of your past favorite books, and I'd be interested to hear what comes out of you rereading them. And depending on your experience, I might actually try to do the same and go back and reread some. I am finishing up Relentless. Actually, I want to ask you, but I'm finishing up Relentless, and I'm probably going to hit Ray Dalio's Market book. What do you got going on right now? And then we'll get out of here.
Book-wise?
Yeah. What are you reading right now?
I just finished The Simple Path to Wealth. Little basic, but it was good. Like for me, it was. I'm not saying it was basic for everybody. I think it had really, really good key points. It was very simplistic, but it was good at the same time. Like I definitely got some key takeaways of it. And again, I've never really reread books before besides The Richest Man in Babylon and one other book before. I'm drawing a freaking blank. It's a business book. I don't know, but I'm definitely going to do Psychology of Money. Like I already want to reread it. And when did we read that? 6 months ago?
Yeah, it was not long ago. It had to be the spring. Maybe we're coming up on a year, but it was the springtime because I was out. It was right around when I broke my foot.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. So that's probably, there's a few things I got in the queue, and then I'm going to jump back into that one, and then we'll circle back, and hopefully, we can do an annual book review. This is a great way to do it. Share everybody. I mean, a lot of people have similar opinions of what they want to read or what they have read. But, again, the way you read, the way I read, the way we all read, we can all read the same book and we get different takeaways on it, depending on where we're at in our lives. That's the beauty. That's the beauty of it. You're just in different parts. You could be a solopreneur, or or you could be a manager right now, or you could be, running big sales teams. What I've realized from a lot of successful people, they start small, they scale up, they get bigger, then they kind of actually scale down and become more profitable, right? Because they were, everyone's worried about top line, bringing in money, when really it's the bottom line is the most important. And I'm all about scaling and getting bigger and bigger. What I also realize is the transition into different types of books, right? I want to be a real estate investor. Let's learn everything about real estate. I'm going to learn about wholesaling.
Dude, why'd you mute yourself? What are you doing?
Sorry. I got to start that whole sentence over. I also know, related to a lot of real estate investors, as they start, they want to learn everything about real estate, right? So how do I flip a house? How do I wholesale a house? What do I do about construction? How do I raise capital? Then they transition into other things. How do I grow a business? How do I do accounting? How do I do marketing, right? Then they focus on that. Then they start working on finance and personal finance and bigger building stuff. So that's typically the transition of how people's reading habits progress.
Yeah, definitely. So either way, dude, it was a really good conversation. I enjoyed all the books. Look forward to our upcoming, as we get new books throughout the year, we will let people know, since we gotten such good feedback on this episode, and we'll definitely have to do something like this again. We have some good upcoming episodes. If anybody wants to join us, always happy to have you on the podcast. We do the podcast not only for ourselves, but for everybody that's viewing. We want to interview people that are actually doing, not big gurus. That's not what we do. So if you have any interest, check out realestatereservepodcast.com. There's a link to become a guest right there on our show, or you can email myself, Ian at Equity Warehouse, or Jason at Hard Money Bankers. We're pretty easy to find on the internet if you want to jump on the show. So appreciate all you guys.
All right, guys. Thanks again. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for tuning in to the Real Estate Reserve Podcast. Do us a favor and like, comment, and share our broadcast. It helps the algorithm and helps us spread the word too.